Om Namah Shivaya. Give thanks and praise. Welcome back, everyone. This will probably be a quick little run through on the Enneagram as it is revealed in the narration and the blocking of Plato's Symposium. If you haven't seen my introduction, you might want to go back to the last video before this. Couched with meaning. In Plato's Symposium, there is a circle of individuals taking turns, giving eulogies in its original meaning. The eulogy is a elaborate narration on the subject, which is love. And their seating arrangement is very important to the extent that scholars have actually mapped it out in the past and done entire diagrams based on the order of the sequence of these eulogies as they roll out. And I've checked their work, and it is one way to see it. It is a surface level glimpse of the arrangement of the personalities. But I'm coming at this with the old slick dissident lens, and I'm seeing it with even more minutia, more detail, more significance, power, and weight, as I believe this is the ring of truth. This is a very powerful hypersigil known as the Enneagram. And I think I said it, but I said it very quickly and in passing in my first video, that Eros is an empty seat. Number 6 is a gap in the seating arrangement, which is very fascinating to me because that is the Lover's card, number 6. And that is the topic at hand. So it is the spirit of love that they are discussing and having this playful, I guess a debate. It's competitive as well. Now, something I need to be more impeccable with my words. I think in my last video I pointed to the 2, 3, and 4 wing and I said body. And that is actually inaccurate. That's a misleading statement. The body is up here in the act, in the do, in the instinct aspect. This is the heart. The feeling trine of the 2, 3, and 4 is the heart. So we have body, heart, and mind. Those being these 3 wings of the Enneagram. So I just wanted to apologize. That was inaccurate. And there is a lot more to getting oriented on these, on the 3 trines of the Enneagram. There's a lot more. For example, I will point to this top trine as the exterior of our experience. It's what we do, what can be seen, what we share with the public outside of ourselves. And what is really fascinating is that includes our body as we see it through our eyes. You can see your body, but you only see its exterior. And so when I say do or act, and I refer up here and I say the body and the instinct, it is also an exterior aspect of the self, which is very important because I think that is part of the trap here. I think that this pulling the mind outside of the interior realm, thinking that you are only what you can see, believing that you are only this flesh and blood body, instinctual aspect, is an incomplete vision. And then down here we have the heart, which some might say is the seat of the soul, but there's a lot more to that. You got to study some more Enneagram to get into the soul, because a lot of people actually put their soul as in their mind. A lot of people are thinkers first. So you could say that their soul has more of a proclivity to be thoughtful in the mind. And so the heart and the mind is a very important division. So I just wanted to clarify that. Another thing that has occurred to me is I mentioned the aspect of the Barefoot characters through the story. And I have placed the Magus card on the dividing line between body and heart, as he is the tightrope walker, the Nietzschean tightrope walker. This is nihilism. Nietzsche's whole forte was the mastery of instinct and body. This is where Nietzsche belongs, as he believes that we should be more of the act orientation and less of the thoughtful orientation. He's kind of anti-book cope, anti-overthinking. So putting the Nietzschean tightrope walker up here is so gratifying. And this is a Polydorus, who is the first-hand narrator, the witness of this whole expression of the Plato Symposium. And in his story, he says that in the dialogue, in the early, before he gets to the party, he actually says, I put on my sandals, which were very unusual for me. And these sandals on the Magi card are very unusual. And there is a good reason for him to say that he was wearing fancy sandals, because he was, like many others, he was a admirer of Socrates. And Socrates, his acolytes and the people who surrounded him, who were drawn to him, they were barefoot. They would take their shoes off in admiration of Socrates. And that also hails back to Old Testament storytelling of, I believe it's Moses is required to remove his shoes in order to approach Mount Sinai, to come into the presence of the Lord. So the removing of shoes and coming approximation of something great is more ancient than many people may have thought. So that does, we're told this predates the Bible. I'm not into the dating or the believing the chronology. I'm just pointing out the consistency of these dynamics. So Apollodorus having fancy sandals corresponds with the Magi, who is the deliverer, the messenger, the one telling, being a witness to the whole dynamic. And another point with the barefoot is this justice card is also barefoot, as the people around Socrates are the ones who will come to judge him. And so it is really fascinating that this justice card is barefoot. Also, the lust card is barefoot. And there is so much more to all of this. And it just seems to me ever more important and gratifying in substantiating this thesis that I'm trying to present, that the Enneagram is the Platonic realm of forms come to life, and it is enacted, embodied by the tarot cards when you put them in this very significant arrangement. Now, I'm just now, after making this thesis, I am a posteriori proving out a lot of this theory in really powerful ways. I'm listening to Plato's writing on Alcibiades, and it is the background relationship between Socrates and Alcibiades. As I have found, Socrates is his revelation on Eros was a story that he was relating back to that he learned from Diotima Manatea, this oracle of sorts, who actually taught him the truth of love. And in teaching him that, there are secrets revealed that are also encouched within the Gospel of Thomas. And that is fascinating because of the doubting Thomas, the incredulity of Thomas, and her name is Diotima Manatea. This is essentially a phonetic play on doubting Thomas, or Timothy the Doubter. And so in Plato's Alcibiades, this playful philosophical sharing and development of these two of their relationship is getting really, is solidifying my theory even more as they are discussing horses, horse trainers, eugenics. In fact, horse culture and horse racing culture is a foundation of eugenics in a positive way, in that they breed their horses for excellence. And then, so this is, some would say this is a cornerstone of social Darwinism, where they take our treatment of and our mentality around animals, and then they utilize what they've learned on animals onto humans. And this, again, is going to come back to the two forms of law, the common law and the heavenly law, in this two-tiered system that is no longer an eye to eye, an eye for an eye, an even playing field for the elites and the common folks. And it's been that way for a very long time. But it's very fascinating to be looking at and gaining affluence over the cornerstone that put us in that situation. So yes, the horse whip, the horse culture, they are talking about justice. That is the topic at hand between Alcibiades and Socrates. And so it is really tickling my fancy to see that this adjustment card absolutely belongs in between these two, as the doubting Thomas was hoping to penetrate the rib, was trying to poke the rib, the pierced rib of the Christ. And that is what is going on here. This sword is penetrating the boundary between the body, the act, the top trine is the body, and down here is the thought. So Thomas was too much in his head. He was full of doubts and thoughts. He couldn't make this leap of logic. He had to pierce and penetrate the rib of the Christ. And it is so gratifying to see that these truths are encapsulated in other stories. It doesn't mean that one person is better than the other, or one culture is lying or diabolical or evil. It's just simply pointing to an absolutely profound truism to the archetypes of the realm. And I hope that informs people in a deeper way and maybe broadens their horizons, and we can kind of, circumvent a lot of the cultural divide, which is also a topic of their discussion. So I'm going to leave a link to that discussion if anybody wants to get into it a little deeper. And I'm going to cut this one right here between the 7 and the 8. By the way, 78 is the number of tarot cards in a complete, intact tarot deck. So this 7 to 8 relationship is really powerful. You know, you got 56 of the minor arcana, and then you add 22, double. You add 22 more, and you end up with the 78, bringing things to an ascended embodiment of a complete expression of this very magical right brain archetype vessel that we should hopefully come to gain a little more affluence and mastery over in time, as I am still learning quite a bit. So I hope that was helpful. I always I come back to my own work and find that I wish I had said more, or if I make any mistakes, I promise to step back. Oh, no, I should say this. While I still have that Nietzschean aspect on the table here, the birth of tragedy is in this thinking, is an aspect of this number 5, as Agathon has just completed his first masterpiece, which is a masterpiece of the tragedy. And so having Nietzschean, the magus of Nietzsche, the tightrope walker, pointing ever so boldly down here, he's pointing at love, but having the master, the birthplace of tragedy, just underneath love here, is really tickling my fancy in a major way, because we know about Nietzsche. Oh, speaking of tickling my fancy, see, something didn't want me to finish yet. Back to the symposium. The seating arrangement starts out with Aristophanes is in this 3 position, and Eryximachus is in the 4 position. But Aristophanes cannot perform because he has the hiccups. And so there is a hiccup in the order of the speakers. And that is really fascinating, that even though he is sitting in this position, Eryximachus, who is a physician, a doctor, a Daleth is the symbol here. He's the doctor. He's got the XI, that's the Jesus, the symbol for Jesus. And this is the Piscean card. He is the doctor. He gives a remedy to Aristophanes, telling him to hold his breath. We're underwater, the Piscean underwater, hold your breath. And he tells him, or tickle your nose with a feather. Well, that is Cygnus the swan, which is the northern cross. Very Jesus-oriented. There's a whole lot of Jesus packed into the signs and symbols of this Piscean tarot card. But he tells him to tickle his nose with a feather or hold his breath. And while Aristophanes is giving himself remedy, he is becoming his own remedy, Eryximachus takes his position and speaks in the third spot. And so if you notice on the chart, the seating is flipped, but the order comports to this arrangement of the Enneagram, giving Eryximandus the number 3 position. And I could go on, but I want to point an arrow at the feathers of the scales of judgment. The feather that you weigh your heart against, your heart is weighed against a feather. That is being pointed at with this arrow here. This line here has the scales of judgment, which if you look closely at this character, it has very metallic looking feathers actually, but there are wings on the shoulders of this adjustment card. And so tickling Aristophanes' nose with a feather is not only this Cygnus swan with the feathers, but it is also indicated by the weighing of the feather from the scales of judgment. So I'm always getting a lot of reward out of not only looking at the immediate proximity, what is obvious on the face of it, but also taking the time to consider the polarity, the 180 relationship. 1-8 is the moon card, which is also in Pisces. Reflectivity, 1-8. Okay, I think I can take a break here and we can come back around and make more of a solid case as we play through the dynamics of the symposium. Leave me some comments, check my the description box. I'm going to post Plato's Symposium and also this Plato's Alcibiades narrative, and keep your ears open for justice, for pride, for the heart chakra, for the heart center, for being barefoot, for being brave, courageous. All of these are themes of this dialogue between Socrates and Alcibiades. And then one more thing I should say, I don't have my chart here with me. I am fully aware that this is zodiacal. I am fully aware that this flows through the sequence of the sky clock of the zodiac. And that is only a surface level, that is only initiatory, that is that's not the full Monty. We are going deep on this motherfucker. And we know that the old Roman fasty calendar was a 9-month calendar. So I think it is an error to dismiss this as only sky clock zodiac technology, because the dynamics and the living embodiment of these connections in between, in the poking fun at one another, is actually aspects of the human mental virtues and vices. It's way more systematized. It's way more dynamic than just a sky clock. So I wanted to say that too. This is more than just a 9-month zodiac with 40-day months from the old fasty calendar. It is way more than that. These are truths of a deeper nature. Okay, now I think I'm done. Give thanks and praise. Much respect, everybody.